Everybody should be logged into the Zoom committee meeting using the link provided by the committee clerk. Turn off your camera, mute yourself, and turn off the volume on your laptop. And recording is in progress. That's really important because we don't want those feedback loops. And then if you request to speak during the meeting, you will use the raise hand feature on Zoom and wait for the chair to call on you. To speak, you will use the hearing room microphone at the seat you are sitting in. You will not unmute yourself on Zoom. Your laptop microphone, audio, and camera will remain off. When voting by roll, so this is going to be an important part, all members participating in the remote committee meeting in a hearing room must vote by sitting at the witness desk in the hearing room and voting as they previously have in a remote committee meeting on Zoom. So we're all just going to kind of play merry-go-round. Which is actually appropriate since we're the kids committee. I also want to point out, I do as well would like to say hello to Representative Khan, who is our newest member. Welcome to the legislature. We're super happy you're here. And then secondly, as you may notice, I do have a mask with me. I will be wearing it when I'm not speaking. There is still a mask mandate on the first floor of the Capitol. Whether we like it or not, that is the case. And we need to enforce those rules. I recognize that that may not have been known earlier. So this meeting, we're not going to be really hard in enforcing that. We will make sure that everybody knows moving forward if that continues. However, next time, if you are in this hearing room or in a hearing room, we ask that you do wear a mask to comply with the rules. If you don't have one and you would like one, our committee clerk has extra for you. If you would prefer not to wear a mask, that is absolutely fine. You just need to vote from either your office or being remote. And with that said, thank you very much. And we shall begin. Back to you, Senator. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Madam Co-Chair. I will have our ranking member, Representative Dauphiny, if she would like to make a statement or remarks.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Senator. I'm just trying to figure out this kind of dual meeting that we're doing here. Good afternoon, everybody. Anxious to get through this committee meeting. I think that we can move right through it. And thank you.
Thank you so much. And I do not see Senator Kelly in the squares that we have, but is he physically there? No. Okay. I know there are multiple meetings for everybody. So I can tell you that just because you don't see any of the members over here does not mean that they are not here. They will be in multiple other meetings. So right now I'm also in a public hearing on housing as we speak, but obviously this is more critical and immediate that we have to address the votes. Representative Linehan, I see your hand raised, and go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Co-Chair. As our committee staff loves to do, they told me I was wrong today. And in fact, that they've tweaked it a little bit. We no longer have to, when voting in person, go to the witness desk. Instead, we actually need to stand and use our microphone and vote. So it's easier. But again, they told me I was wrong, and they loved that. So that's all. Thank you very much, Mr. Co-Chair.
Madam Chair, just wanted to clarify, do you have to stand at the chair or on the chair?
Well, Senator, I recognize that that is an important question. However, the last time we stood on the chair moved out from underneath us, just as it does with all other children with whom we are working to save today and do the best for. So we should learn from these kids and not stand on the chair. Thank you, sir.
Noted. Thank you so much. Thank you. Moving on to the next item on the agenda is bills for action. First item is HB 5152. I would entertain a motion for JFS of HB 5152, an act concerning children's health, with LCO number 3198.
So moved.
Thank you. And I presume that is you, Madam Chair.
Indeed it is, sir.
Okay. And is there a second? I will second it. So it's been moved and seconded. Any discussion?
Senator,
And
I'd like
yes,
to
please,
move
go
that
ahead,
this item,
Madam
that we
Chair.
start a consent calendar. Can we
Please
do
go
that
ahead.
now?
Yes. Yes, please. We'll
Second.
consent. Oh. All right, we will survive. We are doing very well. So we have a consent calendar. That's a very positive thing happening as we speak. So, and all in favor of the consent calendar with a voice vote will say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Okay, and any abstentions, any nays? Seeing none, we do have a consent calendar. So if nobody has any concerns, we will move item 1 to a consent calendar. Seeing none, this is in consent calendar. Next is I will entertain a motion to take HB 5154, an act requiring the provision of information concerning children's mental health and domestic violence by police officers. And I would entertain JFS, the language in LCO 3195. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, Representative Wieland is seconding that. Perfect. And any discussion? Seeing none. Madam Chair, you were going to say something?
I just move that we move this to the consent calendar.
Thank you. Seeing no objection, it's on consent calendar. Next item is item number 3. I would entertain a motion to have HB 5240, an act establishing a task force for the protection of youth and intramural and interscholastic athletes. Will JFS LCO 3194. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Representative Wieland. And any discussion? Seeing no discussion, we will, with no objection, move this to the consent calendar. Is there any objection? Seeing none, we'll move to the next item, item number 4. We'll entertain a motion to take HB 5242, an act establishing an online child sexual abuse and exploitation task force, JFS LCO 3085. Is there a motion?
So moved. Second.
And okay, motion has been moved and seconded by the Chair Linehan, followed by seconded by Representative Wieland. And I will any discussion? Seeing no discussion, we will, any one has a concern if we move this to the consent calendar? Seeing no concerns, we will move this to the consent calendar, and we'll move on to item number 5, which is HB 5244, an act concerning the provision of opioid antagonists in schools. We will JFS LCO 3199. Is there a motion?
So moved. Seconded.
And is there a second? Representative Wieland, thank you for seconding that. Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, is there, can we move this to consent calendar? Any objections? Seeing none, this is on consent calendar as well. And then item number 6, SB 205, an act establishing a Children's Mental Health Day in Connecticut, JFS LCO 2934. Is there a motion?
So moved. Seconded.
And thank you, Representative Wieland, for seconding it. Thank you, Madam Chair, for moving it. And any discussion? Seeing no discussion, we will move this to the consent calendar unless there's an objection. And seeing none, I'm going to skip number 7 if you could allow me, and I will move to 8 and then 11, and then we can probably take a vote on the consent calendar. Item number 8, I will entertain a motion to take SB 207, an act concerning the Legislative Commissioner's recommendations for technical revisions to statutes relating to children. This is a JF. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second? Thank you, Representative Wiellander, as you are making the minutes easier by doing the same. We'll just cut and paste easily for all of them. Is there any discussion? Seeing no discussion, we will move this to the consent agenda, consent calendar. If anyone has any objection, seeing none, we will move on to item number 11, which is we'll entertain a motion for HB 5239, an act concerning accommodations for English language learners. This is going to be JF and be transferred to the Education Committee. Is
So
there a
moved.
motion? And second,
Seconded.
Representative. Thank you, Representative Wiellander. And any discussion? Seeing no discussion, is there any objection to moving this to the consent calendar? And seeing none, what we will take is, Madam Clerk, would we be able to take a roll call vote for the consent calendar? And again, reminder, everybody would have to stand up and look at the camera and state your name and the vote, whether it's a yes or a no vote.
This is a roll call vote on the consent calendar. Please stand and state your name using the physical microphone in front of you. Representative Linehan,
Representative Linehan votes yes.
Senator Anwar,
Point of clarification, do I have to stand up too?
sitting is the new smoking, sir.
Okay. Senator Anwar votes yes.
Representative Wiellander,
Representative Wiellander votes yes.
Representative Dauphiné,
Representative Dauphiné votes yes.
Senator Kelly, Representative Boyd, Representative Comey,
Representative Comey votes yes.
Representative Foster,
Representative Foster votes yes.
Representative Green,
Representative Green votes yes.
Representative Lanu,
Representative Lanu votes yes.
Senator Cohen,
Senator Cohen votes yes.
Senator Moore, Representative Khan,
Representative Khan votes yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We're all set.
Thank you. And for everybody's information, we will keep the votes open till 5 p.m. today. And the next item I have on the agenda is item number 7. We will entertain a motion to take SB 206, an act concerning Department of Children and Families recommendations for revisions to the statutes concerning children. We'll entertain a motion for JF for this.
So moved.
Is there a second? And I heard, can you second it again, please, Representative Wiellander?
Representative Wiellander seconds the motion.
Perfect. And I see Representative Dauphiné has a question in the discussion. Representative Dauphiné, please go ahead.
Yes, thank you, Senator. I just wanted to make a comment about this particular bill. I will be a no on this bill as I have concerns about the registry being shared through that in the way that it will be. And I just wanted to make sure that that was for the record. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Dauphiné. Representative Linehan.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mr. Co-Chair, I think that with the next couple of items, since we in fact are not putting these to consent, I think it's important that we just do a little brief rundown for each of the bills, if you wouldn't mind, Mr. Co-Chair.
Please go ahead, Madam.
Thank you, sir.
Co-Chair.
So this bill is essentially the wait a minute. What are we on? I apologize. 206. I knew I was on the wrong one. So this bill is DCF's bill, which actually it really doesn't change. I understand that Rep. Dauphiné has some concerns with that, which is absolutely her right. But I want to be very clear that all this bill is doing is taking information that is normally stored on paper and in the at the department all the time, and actually saying that they don't need to keep that. It's really just easier storage, and there's really not much more to that. They're just, it says here, clarifying the Department of Children and Families' role in the administration of educational services provided to students residing in certain juvenile detention facilities. So while there should be more discussion, absolutely, as we're on the floor, I just wanted to give a little bit of information on that so people can understand what it is that we're voting on. So thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Any other comments? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, can we have a roll call vote, please? Thank you.
A motion has been made and seconded on agenda item number 7, an act concerning the Department of Children and Families recommendations for revisions to the statutes concerning children. Representative Linehan,
Representative Linehan votes yes.
Senator Anwar,
Senator Anwar votes yes.
Representative Welander,
Representative Welander votes yes.
Representative Dauphiné,
Representative Dauphiné votes no.
Senator Kelly, Representative Boyd, Representative Comey,
Representative Comey votes yes.
Representative Foster,
Representative Foster votes yes.
Representative Green,
Representative Green votes yes.
Representative Lanu,
Representative Lanu votes yes.
Senator Cohen,
Senator Cohen votes yes.
Senator Moore, Representative Khan,
Representative Khan votes yes.
thank you.
Thank you. And then we will leave the votes open till 5 p.m. Thank you, everyone. Next item on the agenda is item number 9. I will entertain a motion to JFSP 308, an act concerning the recommendations of the Office of the Child Advocate. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Seconded.
Thank you, Representative Welander. I think, Madam Chair, do you want to give a brief explanation, and we'll take Representative Lanu's comment after that?
Absolutely, Mr. Co-Chair. Thank you very much. So this legislation establishes a reappointment process for the child advocate. And it establishes compensation, and it makes other revisions to the statutes relating to the responsibilities of the child advocate. One thing I think that is really important is in line 176, no state or municipal agency or any agency or entity providing publicly funded services shall discharge or in any manner discriminate or retaliate against any employee who in good faith makes a complaint to the child advocate or cooperates with the Office of the Child Advocate in an investigation. This is something that is extremely, extremely important when we're talking about working on things like the Child Fatality Review Panel that looks at reasons why there was a death of a minor in the state of Connecticut, and other things where the Office of the Child Advocate really advocates for our children, just like the department name says. So I think that this is an important bill. There are some things that will most likely be changing as we move forward, simply because of negotiations between OCA and the governor's office regarding the reappointment process. But that information will be mutually agreed upon, and then we will change that on the floor. So thank you very much, Mr. Co-Chair.
Thank you so much. And Representative Lanu.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Mr. Turbin. I have a few questions regarding this bill, if I may.
Please go ahead, Senator. I'm sorry, Representative Lanu.
Thank you so much. Now, to be clear, the child advocate rests in the executive branch of government, correct?
Representative Linehan, are you going to be answering the questions? Yeah, go ahead.
Absolutely, Mr. Co-Chair. Thank you. Actually, they're actually an independent agency for the purpose of that.
Right. They're an independent agency, but they still sit within the executive branch of government, correct? I just want to make sure I'm clear on that.
Yes.
Okay. Can you just explain the current process? If there's a vacancy in the child advocate's office for a child advocate, what's the appointment process for a new child advocate?
Representative Linehan.
Boy, that's a really, really good question. And I have a belief that I know what that answer is, but considering that you need actual information, if you would give me 1 second, I will get that information for you.
Certainly.
Great, thank you. Excuse me. So, Mr. Chairman, I'm glad that I asked before speaking because I was slightly off. So there is the Child Advocate Review Panel who gives a list of nominations, and then those go to the exec noms and goes through that process. Ultimately, then will come to the floor for confirmation.
Okay, thank you. In the advisory council, the advisory committee, if I understand this correctly, is made up of 7 members, most of whom are appointed by legislative leaders, if I'm correct on that.
I am unaware of the appointments on that advisory committee.
Okay. Now, my question is under current law, not what we're proposing here, but under current law, if the sitting child advocate, the incumbent child advocate, after their 4-year term is up, wants to be reappointed, what's the process call for a reappointment of the existing child advocate as opposed to if it's a new appointment?
I believe current law goes through the same process.
Okay. Now, in this legislation, if I'm reading this correctly, if the child advocate wants to be reappointed, can you just briefly describe what that process is?
Could you please point me to the line number in the bill?
Well, I'm looking specifically lines 41 through 55. I believe addresses that. I just want to make sure I'm understanding this correctly.
So I'm not going to read the entire thing out loud because that might take a moment, but if you just give me a second so I
Certainly.
can speak. So it looks here that they would submit a request for reappointment to the advisory committee. They'll meet to consider the request for reappointment and may, not later than 60 days after receipt of such request for reappointment, submit to the governor a recommendation that such person should be appointed. not later than 8 weeks after receiving such recommendation for reappointment from the advisory committee, the governor may reappoint such person as the child advocate. If not later than 8 weeks after receiving such recommendation, the governor fails to reappoint that person, such person will be referred to the General Assembly for confirmation.
Okay, thank you for that. So if I'm interpreting this correctly, this committee of this advisory committee would recommend the reappointment, assuming they do. It goes to the governor. Now, if the governor does not want to reappoint the sitting child advocate, what happens?
Well, since it's not explicitly said in this bill, then it would then go back to the original appointment process. They would have to then, the governor's office would have to come up with multiple numbers of three names, submit it to the advisory council. Advisory council sends it to exec noms, and then it comes to the General Assembly.
Okay, so if I'm understanding you, if the governor does not want to reappoint the child advocate, it would then go back to the advisory committee.
Mhm.
They could then come up with 3 to 5 names of new nominees or candidates. From that list of 3 to 5, the governor could pick from that list.
Yes,
Okay, that to me
as
sounds
this is written.
okay. To me, that sounds reasonable. This is again when the sitting if the governor rejected the sitting child advocate, it would revert back to the committee of 7, and they could select. They would come up with 3 to 5 names of new candidates.
That is how I am reading this as well.
Okay, I agree with that concept. That there is more of a check and balance there. However, with due respect, the way I'm interpreting this, and I could be wrong, particularly on 49 through 51, lines 49 through 51, it's saying that they will, if not later after 8 weeks of receiving the recommendation of the reappointment
Mhm.
from the committee, if the governor fails to reappoint such person, that person will then get referred directly to the General Assembly.
Correct.
So I'm not seeing anything in this new section of new proposed law that it would get kicked back to the committee. of
Exec
7.
noms.
No,
Oh.
excuse me, the reappointment committee.
Okay.
I don't see that in here. What I see happening here,
The advisory committee shall meet to consider the request for reappointment. So they need to-
Yeah, it's, thank you, Madam Vice Chair. In line 43, it says the advisory committee shall meet to consider such requests for reappointment. So the advisory committee will in fact meet for reappointment.
correct. If they decide they want to reappoint the child advocate,
Mhm.
they then send it to the governor.
Correct.
Now, under this proposed language, once it's sent to the governor, if the governor does not choose to reappoint the sitting incumbent child advocate, the governor can then be circumvented and that person can get referred directly to the state legislature, if I'm reading that correctly.
I believe so.
So it's not, they're not, it doesn't go back to the committee to come up with 3 to 5 more names. It goes directly to the General Assembly to vote on child advocate. So conceivably, you could have a governor who does not want a child advocate, an incumbent child advocate reappointed. And this calls for this committee of appointed people from the legislature to circumvent the governor to send this directly to the state legislature.
So
That's my concern.
I think what's happening, and so there may be adjustments on language, but let's talk about intent and then absolutely work on language. As I said, before this gets out of, before this is called on the floor, that there will be adjustments to this because there's negotiations ongoing between the child advocate and the governor. However, I think the intent here is that if the governor doesn't reappoint, then we have someone who is really important to the children of the state of Connecticut who is in limbo. And those 8 weeks, we have someone working without an appointment, without a contract, and without any determination of compensation. And so this is saying that if the governor's office fails to reappoint, then we can move forward with that and it comes to the General Assembly. I do think that there needs to be some clarification here, that how it comes back to the General Assembly. I think that it needs to be clarified that that would be through exec noms and not straight to the floor. We would have to make sure of that, but this is one of those things where continuing discussion is going to be ongoing. And I would recommend to members of this committee that these concerns and questions be focused towards our representative at the governor's office, or in fact, OCA, to talk about those and to assure that when the language that we will ultimately vote on is satisfactory, then we can move forward with that.
Okay.
But I think it's going to, as we said before this bill, before we brought this bill to a vote, that there will be large changes.
Okay, I'm happy to hear that.
Yeah.
My concern is I got, as the saying goes, yesterday's a canceled check, tomorrow's a promissory note, today's cash. I got to look at what's in front of me. And my concern, somebody who has a master's in public policy, somebody who loves the three branches of government, and I've been very critical over the past couple of years, as you know, about the executive branch having too much power and cutting out the legislative branch. My concern here, this puts too much power in the legislative branch of government. And the way I see this written currently in those lines 41 through 55 is the governor, if the governor, any governor, and again, with all due respect to the current governor, the current legislature, the current child advocate, this law is going to be in here long after all these people are gone. We need to make sure we have a correct checks and balance process. The way this is written, if the governor does not want to reappoint the incumbent sitting child advocate, this committee that's appointed by the legislature can simply circumvent him and send it directly to the legislature. Or her, excuse me, yeah, him or her,
Yep.
and that's, to me, that's a concern. That's a serious concern as far as checks and balances go. I would propose, Madam Chair, you mentioned the intent, where if the governor rejected the incumbent child advocate, that it can revert back to the committee, the advisory committee. They can come up with the 3 or 5 names and send them back to the governor, and the governor can then pick from those 3 to 5 names. I would propose, let's have an amendment and let's change that to specifically have the same language. Now, you also mentioned, and I agree with you, we don't want somebody to hang in limbo. The child advocate is vitally, vitally important. I agree with you. So we can certainly have language that can have a holdover and have that person hold over until a new child advocate is put in place. And, or conceivably, if the child advocate left, whoever the next highest ranking person in that office is could be acting child advocate. But I think we need to get this goes right to the heart of checks and balances, in my view. And I think we need to get this right on the committee level before we send this out of committee. And I would just, I would like if we can have an amendment to specifically do that, where if the governor rejects a incumbent child advocate, it reverts back to the advisory committee. They select 3 to 5 names, then let the governor have another chance to ring in.
Okay, so I want to, first of all, thank you very much for that.
Sorry, do you mind, Madam Chair, if I just clarify a couple of thoughts before
Absolutely, you're probably
have this
going to say
conversation?
exactly what's in my mind right now, but please go ahead, Mr.
Sure. Thank you so much, Representative Lanoue, for your conversation and your thoughts and your concerns, sharing them with us. Here is the real issue, if you will. The responsibility of the Office of a Child Advocate, it's not an administrative position. It is not an administrator of programs. It is actually a monitor that evaluates the public and private agencies that are charged with the protection of children and reviews state agency policies and procedures and ensure that they protect the children's rights and promote their best interest. So the reality is that the Office of Child Advocate has a responsibility to oversee the governor's work and the team of the governor, their work. And as a result of that, if that person is going to be appointed by the governor and can be not appointed by the governor, the independence is just dead. So your intention of checks and balances is exactly why this language is necessary. Because what would happen is, theoretically, I don't think that's going to happen with this governor, but the key thing is that we need to make sure that if the legislature wants an independent individual who is going to oversee the governor's administrative programs with the DCF and other child-related activities in our state, we want them to be independent of the governor's ability to exclude or remove that person. And that's why this language is of value. So this actually has the checks and balances, and your amendment or your suggestion that you're making is actually going to remove the checks and balances. So I just wanted to make that comment. And sorry, Representative Linehan, I sort of interrupted you. Please go ahead.
Thank you very much. And now those are really, really great points. But something that I wanted to point out too is that Representative Lanu had said essentially, if the governor doesn't want to reappoint, and that is different than if the governor fails to reappoint. The not wanting to means that the governor's office could reject that appointment and seek out someone new. The failure to act within 8 weeks is just simply a time management issue. But I see what you're saying. So I mean, I think I'd like to, this is where it poses a problem where we are not all together. I actually ask that if we could stand in recess for 5 minutes, Mr. Co-Chair.
Please go ahead. We remain, we stand in recess at this time for the next
Okay.
5 minutes.
Mr. Co-Chair?
Yeah, Madam Chair, we are ready to reconvene. Can't hear you. Cannot hear you. I think while you are not muted in the room, you're muted in the.
We are ready to reconvene.
All right. Thank you, Madam Co-Chair. So we'll reconvene and I can actually read your mind right now. So go ahead, Madam.
Thank you very much, Mr. Co-Chair. So I want to, just for the benefit of the committee between myself and Representative Lanu. First of all, Representative, I believe that there may have been a motion put on the floor and we would need you to actually withdraw that motion.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. If I may, just a few
Please.
more comments. I do have obviously very serious concerns here with the checks and balances. The way this is worded, intentionally or unintentionally, it circumvents the governor as it relates to reappointment. I think that's a concern. So for today, due to again, with issues with checks and balances, I will be voting no. However, I look forward to working with the Office of Child Advocate, the governor's office, if we can, let's get the language right. And I will reserve my right to change my vote on the House floor if we have amendable language that addresses the checks and balances issue, to make sure we have the executive and legislative branch in check, and to make sure we maintain the integrity of the child advocate. I will change my vote at that time, but for right now, due to the checks and balances, the way this is worded, I am going to vote no.
Thank you very much for that, Representative. And I just want to, did you officially withdraw the amendment? I think you need to say the words.
Yeah, withdraw the amendment and we'll work on it before it gets to the floor.
Great, thank you. And before I throw it back to you, Mr. Co-Chair, I just want to say that I think that it's really important to note the bipartisan spirit by which we came to this agreement. And it is my pleasure as one of the co-chairs of this committee to say that I'm happy that Representative Lanu will be working directly with the governor's office and with OCA for the benefit of this committee and for the language in this bill. So thank you very much, Representative, and back to you, Mr. Co-Chair.
Thank you so much. Seeing no other discussion, we will go ahead and take a roll call vote. Madam Clerk, please go ahead. This is just for everybody's benefit. I'll clarify this. We are taking a roll call vote for the JF language of SB 308, an act concerning the recommendations of the Office of the Child Advocate. And there is no amendment. This is just directly bill that is going to be JF'd. So Madam Clerk, please go ahead.
A motion has been made and seconded on agenda item number 9. Representative Linehan,
Representative Linehan votes yes.
Senator Anwar,
Senator Anwar votes yes.
Representative Welander,
Representative Welander votes yes.
Representative Dauphiné,
Representative Dauphiné votes no.
Senator Kelly, Representative Boyd,
Representative Boyd, aye.
Representative Comey,
Representative Comey votes yes.
Representative Foster, Representative Green,
Representative Green votes no.
Representative Lanu,
Representative Lanu votes no.
Senator Cohen,
Senator Cohen votes yes.
Senator Moore,
Senator Moore votes yes.
Representative Khan.
Representative Khan votes yes.
Thank you.
Right. With that, we move on to, and the votes will be open till 5 p.m. Next item is item number 10. I will entertain a motion for JF of FE number 311, an act concerning the Child Fatality Review Panel. Is there a motion?
So moved.
And
Seconded.
Madam Chair, thank you for moving it. And
Second.
Madam Vice Chair, thank you for seconding it. And Madam Chair, do you want to give a brief overview before we take the question or comment from Representative Dauphine, or?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you, Mr. Co-Chair. This bill, it's not the norm that we do here, but I'm going to explain. So we have a bill here regarding the Child Fatality Review Panel. We are JFing it out of committee, but it's for the benefit of the committee and the people watching. Regarding the Child Fatality Review Panel, there have been some recent reports, or one report actually, that came out regarding a recent child fatality. That report did not come out until earlier this week, but along with that came recommendations. This legislation is going to be passed out of this committee, and then ultimately those recommendations will be put in, but due to the interest of time, because ultimately this is, I think it's the second shortest short session possible in the calendar year, that those are going to need to be put in there as an amendment on the floor. We are working with that. We will work with all members of this committee to view those. I believe everybody has those recommendations in their inbox. And that's all, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Madam Co-Chair and Representative Dauphine.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Madam Chair, for that explanation. And it's for that reason that this is still in the works. It's a partial bill and more language will be coming. So I'll reserve my opportunity to just vote no today to flag it. So thank you.
Thank you, Representative Dauphine. Any other comments or questions? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, can we do a roll call vote again, please? Thank you. And this is a roll call vote on item number 10, SP 311 JF.
A motion has been made and seconded on agenda item number 10. Representative Linehan,
Representative Linehan votes yes.
Senator Anwar,
Senator Anwar votes yes.
Representative Welander,
Representative Welander votes yes.
Representative Dauphine,
Representative Dauphine votes no.
Senator Kelly, Representative Boyd,
Representative Boyd, aye.
Representative Comey,
Representative Comey votes yes.
Representative Foster,
Representative Foster votes yes.
Representative Green,
Representative Green votes no.
Representative Lanu,
Representative Lanu votes no.
Senator Cohen,
Senator Cohen votes yes.
Senator Moore,
Senator Moore votes yes.
Representative Khan,
Senator Khan, oh, sorry, Representative Khan votes yes.
thank you.
All right, so that covers that aspect. So the votes will be open till 5 p.m. The next item on the agenda is item number 14. For the people who are going to come and vote, they would have to come to the room, I believe, who are physically in the LOB. Is that correct, Madam
Mr.
Clerk?
Chair, we can only register votes through video. So anyone will need to register into Zoom in order to continue to vote with me.
Perfect. So going forward, after we are in recess, coming into the LOB room will not be the way to vote. It will be to physically come and physically go to the Zoom meeting and then vote. Perfect. With that, the next item is announcement of time and date of the next meeting, which will be Tuesday, the 15th of March, 3 p.m. Room 1B and Zoom. And then we will hopefully see people in person or on screens at that time, unless we see you somewhere else. If there's nothing else, we will stand in recess till 5 p.m. and we'll adjourn at that time with this meeting. Thank you everyone for your patience and thank you for coming together, and hopefully we will see you soon. Thank you.
This is Senator Moore. I'd like to vote.
Senator Moore, can you hear me okay?
I can.
Excellent. I'll just go back for you.
Senator, can you hear me through my computer?
I can hear you. I can see you. Can you see me?
Could you repeat, please?
I can hear you and I can see you.
Excellent. We have just gotten it all said. Thank you so much for your patience. So we're now fully remote. Okay. The first vote we took was a roll call of the consent calendar items, which include agenda items 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, and 11.
I vote yes.
Representative Boyd, if you're here, would you like to cast your vote on the consent calendar items?
Yes, I'd like to vote yes on the consent calendar.
Thank you. So there's 3 more. The remainders are 7, 9, and 10 from the agenda. Agenda item number 7 was the DCF recommendation. How would you like to vote, Senator Moore?
I vote yes on affirmative on number 7.
Thank you. Representative Boyd on number 7.
I will follow the good senator's lead and vote yes as well.
Thank you, sir.
And I believe that is all I missed. I believe I was here for 9 and 10.
I believe I was here for 9 and 10 also. I will follow the good representative's lead.
Thank you so very much.
Very good.
All right.
Take care.
Thank you.
See you, Marilyn.
Bye-bye.
Senator Kelly. Okay. So they can. Sorry, Senator, I'm still in the room. How are you?
I'm pretty good. Yourself?
I'm just fine, thank you. So most of the agenda today went on a consent calendar, and then
Yep.
we have 3 additional roll call votes. The consent calendar was items 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 11.
Perfect.
How would you like to vote on those?
Yes.
Recorded. We have agenda item number 7, which was the DCF recommendations bill.
Yes.
Agenda item number 9, which was the OCA bill.
Yes.
Recorded. And item number 10, which was Senate Bill 311. And I think that's the one on the Child Fatality Review Panel.
Yes.
Thank you. And you were all set. Thank you so much, Senator.
Thank you. Take care.
Good night.